check. Announcement please. Vehicle number UBF 33L. Can you please find another parking?
guest, nodding, and I noticed there are two, so I wasn't sure which one was here. All right. The representative of the Norwegian ambassador from the Embassy of Norway. Thank you so much for joining us. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies. I think you are the most light-skinned person in this room, and my initial reaction was that it might be someone else. The executive director of the National Forest Authority, Tom Bongo Kello, and the board member who is seated with you, the National Forestry Authority, yes. Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the NFA and on behalf of the UNDP, I want to thank you for joining us for this launch of the Uganda Natural Resource Information System, but also later for a conversation on utilizing real data to transform natural resource management here in Uganda. On behalf of our partners, the NORAD and CEDA, this will be quite an interesting conversation we will be having this morning that will also include a panel discussion on the theme for the day, and later the signing ceremony for the Natural Resource Information System to kickstart this launch, and also a tree planting and a tree exhibition later this afternoon. So the Honorable Minister, we want to thank you for joining us this morning. I am not the one who is making speeches, so allow me begin by inviting Ms. Elsie Atafwa to come and make her remarks on behalf of the United Nations Development Program. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, everyone. Is it working now? Okay, sorry. Permit me to remove my mask. I think I'm fairly socially distanced, and also I'm fully vaccinated. So thank you very much. Honorable Beatrice Aniwa Atim, Minister of State for Environment. Her Excellency Maria Hackinson, I think she's on her way. Her Excellency Ellen Johansson, Ambassador of Norway to Uganda, represented by Ms. Chasti Lindo. Mr. Tom Okello, the Executive Director, National Forest Authority. Dr. Akankwasa Barirega, the Executive Director, National Environment Management Authority. Representative of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Water and Environment. Other heads of government agencies, departments, and agencies present, colleagues from the United Nations family, representatives from civil society, private sector, academia, media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me simply say all protocols observed. Good morning once again. Let's have some energy here. Good morning once again. On behalf of the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and our wider United Nations family, I'm delighted to join you to launch the Uganda Natural Resource Information System, and from now onwards, permit me to use the abbreviation NARIS. I thank the Ministry of Water and Environment for leading the national effort to protect the environment. I also thank the many national actors and development partners who are contributing to Uganda's biodiversity conservation and environmental sustainability, and I can see a number of you here already. Thank you all for joining us today to witness the launch of an exciting new chapter in Uganda's effort to stop deforestation and enhance sustainable management of natural resources and protect biodiversity. I thank the National Forest Authority, through the leadership of Mr. Tom Okello, the Executive Director, and his team, for partnering with UNDP to design NARIS as an innovative way to improve natural resource governance. After almost 12 months of designing and testing the digital platform, I'm pleased that we gather here today to formally launch the platform and commence a new phase of real-time forest cover monitoring in Uganda. The NARIS journey began in 2019 when UNDP embarked on tackling deforestation as one of Uganda's development challenges. All stakeholders, including the unusual ones, the school administrators, the illegal loggers, the charcoal sellers, and many more, met to make sense of deforestation challenge in Uganda and identify solutions for experimentation and scaling to effectively tackle the challenge that we have before us. Honorable Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, deforestation affects us all. Evident now more than ever with the microscope positioned firmly on the development challenge of climate change. I'm told that one of our beloved, our country's delicacy, and senene, grasshoppers, were delayed as a result of humans disrupting the ecosystem. So you can see the links between what we are talking about and livelihoods and even nutrition. Deforestation leads to climate change, soil degradation, reduces biodiversity, increases runoff, mudslides and floods. Uganda's economic and social well-being is tightly bound to the benefits that healthy forests provide. If deforestation is not addressed, potential impacts of food insecurity, disease, and conflict are likely to stall or even reverse the country's development trajectory. Whether you look at this challenge economically, socially, or environmentally, healthy forests and natural resources are the utmost importance for this country, our beloved country, and currently forests in Uganda are under threat. Now, let me try to be practical here because sometimes when we speak big English, it's somewhere in the air. When we cut the forest, the waters dry up. When the waters dry up, it impacts on our own water security. If women have to walk 1 kilometer to fetch water, perhaps now they'll be walking 5 kilometers to fetch water. When the forests go, the animals go, and our tourism is very much dependent on the forest, on the animals. So you can see the intersection between forest as well as even tourism, and the intersection between forest and health, the intersection between forest and agriculture. When the forests go, most likely your pollination is affected. So I want people to begin to see forest not just as a standing tree. It is very much important and connected to the development agenda of this country. A rapid growing population, demand for agricultural land, for settlement and infrastructure development, as well as demand for forest products, are all putting a great strain on our forest. We know that Uganda's forest cover has reduced from 24% in 1990 to just 9% in 2020, meaning that over the last 30 years, we have lost more than half of our forests. If deforestation continues at the present rate, then we risk losing all of Uganda's forest cover in a few decades from now. This is something that we cannot just sit back and watch. Honorable Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad that Uganda is among the countries that made a declaration on forest and land use in the recent COP26 at Glasgow. Leaders emphasized the critical and interdependent roles of forests of all types, biodiversity, and sustainable land use in enabling the world to meet its sustainable development agenda. And this includes, amongst other things, adapting to climate change, maintaining ecosystems, and financing climate actions. Leaders also recognized that to meet our land use, climate, biodiversity, and sustainable development goals, both globally and nationally, this will require further transformative action in the interconnected areas of sustainable production and consumption, infrastructure development, trade, finance and investment, and support for smallholders, indigenous people, and local communities who depend on forests for their livelihoods and have a key role to play in their stewardship. Therefore, regular and accurate data on the state of Uganda's forests produced from the NARIS will go a long way to support both knowledge sharing and deforestation-related interventions, but importantly also provides evidence-based information for decision-making across sectors, and particularly within the context of the NDP3 implementation. Honorable Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me take the opportunity to say that UNDP Accelerator Labs are a transformative initiative of our administrator, Mr. Kim Steiner, launched just over 2 years ago as a global learning network, which is firmly established in 91 UNDP country offices and supporting 115 countries collectively. The UNDP Accelerator Lab provides solution-focused support to countries, building on local expertise and global best practices. The Accelerator Labs are facilitating cutting-edge thinking and helping countries to systematically identify, nurture, grow, and scale innovative solutions to accelerate development. NARIS, that will be launched today, has been birthed through this Accelerator Lab approach. For those of you who may not understand what I'm saying, we have a lab that helps us, and it's not a physical lab per se, it's a collective thinking amongst all of us to see what can we do differently. In the 21st century, how can we find solutions to development challenges in a much more creative way? And that approach is what we used together with NFA and partners to birth this idea of NARIS. And therefore, I take the opportunity to thank also the Federal Republic of Germany, through the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, the State of Qatar, through the Qatar Fund for Development, for supporting the Accelerator Lab, which set the foundation for this, and for which our colleagues in NORAD and CIDR are also building upon, and I want to thank them once again. Honorable Minister, Excellencies, please feel free to give them a round of applause. We are able to do what we do because of our partners, and we don't take it for granted. Honorable Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to inform you that NARIS is set for scaling up to also monitor and provide data for other natural resources such as wetlands and water bodies. For this, I would like to appreciate once again the generosity of our friends and partners at the Swedish International Development Agency, CIDR, and the Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation, NORAD, who through the UNDP Anti-Corruption Innovation Initiative have provided funding close to $400,000 to scale this platform, which is also complementing our own investment as UNDP in the tune of about $250,000 to scale this up. In other words, we are starting with forest, but we're also expanding to wetlands and other areas of work. The scaling up phase will bring on board, in addition to NFA, new partners including the National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, National Information Technology Authority, NITA-U, civil societies, among others. The scale-up focuses on three main aspects. First, monitoring and surveillance of environmental resources using digital tools and dashboards. This entails expanding the platform to monitor wetlands and other environmental resources and make reports available to the public and enable data sharing with other partners, including the academia. And I think I saw some of our colleagues from Makerere here this morning. The plan also includes features like automated environmental impact assessment and reporting. This will particularly be useful to NEMA in curbing corruption tendencies during environmental impact assessments. The surveillance on the ground will also be enhanced by empowering the field teams through capacity building and state-of-art equipment like drones. Second, public engagement in participatory spatial planning, awareness of environmental laws, and availability of digital feedback mechanisms. This entails use of digital tools for public engagement and reporting of abuses of environmental resources and publicizing the environmental laws and ordinances. Third, digitalizing permits acquisition process. The current process of acquiring permits and licenses related to the environment, whether it's in forestry, wetlands, fisheries, wildlife, minerals, are manual and prone to bureaucratic delays and corruption. Digitalizing these processes by using e-services and other digital tools will improve efficiency and promote accountability. Human-to-human interface will be lessened. or eliminated when the entire process is digitalized. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Because sometimes when things are very physical, you know, your brother or sister wants you to put a bit of weight, as we say, facilitation fee before they move the file. And therefore, by digitalizing this process, we get away, or we try to eliminate those sort of facilitation and putting weight on the paper. Honorable Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the platform that we are launching today has great potential to forecast trends in forest cover, to trigger real-time response, and to generate strategic and coordinated support to combat deforestation in Uganda. And I know the Honorable Minister is one that is very passionate about such, and this makes her work very easy in many ways. A strong advocate for the environment, so thank you once again. The platform also provides a valuable precedent in using real-time data and technology in natural resource governance. We are all here today because we are all invested in protecting the Pearl of Africa. Uganda's economic, social, and environmental well-being is tightly bound to the benefits that healthy forests provide, and I think that I've said that again. And therefore, for us, facilitating the proper use of natural resources is very critical also from the sustainable development point of view. And we want to say that once we do this, and by extension, we are addressing SDG 1 on no poverty, SDG 2 on zero hunger, SDG 3 on good health and well-being, SDG 6 on clean water and sanitation, SDG 10 on reduced inequalities, SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities, SDG 13 on climate action, SDG 14 on life below land, 15 on life on land, and 17 on partnerships for the SDGs. So by what I'm basically saying is that, you know, even the issue around the forest issues that we're discussing are very much across all the SDGs, or most of the SDGs that we are talking about today. Now, I just want to conclude by also highlighting some of the things that we are doing with government as UNDP, and by extension our United Nations family, in supporting the environment, the natural resources, and the climate agenda. To complement what we are doing now with NFA and others, we also have a partnership with the Energy Regulation Authority, ERA, where we are trying to show proof of concept. Institutions such as Mulago, the Mulago Hospital kitchen, we are moving part of that kitchen from biomass to electricity. And we believe that by doing that, we are also reducing the pressure on the use of biomass for cooking. We do hope that institutions like hospitals and schools and prisons that use a lot of charcoal and firewood, others, once we begin to do that shift, it will reduce the pressure on our resources. And therefore, we are hoping that beyond Mulago, the next place that we will go is the prisons, and I think Luzira will be the next to go. We are also strengthening institutional capacity across board for the implementation of other conventions, whether on biodiversity, land degradation. We also are supporting biodiversity conservation through mobilizing financing in different ways. One of the exciting things that we are also doing is we are supporting mitigation actions through waste management. In other words, we are trying to see how we can use waste and transform waste into energies through biogas digested, and many more. We are solarizing a number of health centers, particularly health centers 3s and 4s, again, as a way of helping to reduce the impact of deforestation, but also by extension, promoting climate change by using renewable energy. And again, conservation and sustainable use of threatened savanna woodlands, particularly in the Kidepo critical landscape, and I think I was talking about Kidepo a moment ago. So as I conclude, and speaking on behalf of the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, I wish to say that we have great confidence in this joint initiative with the National Forest Authority, and now the National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, and the National Information and Technology Authority, NITA-U, and all the other players coming on board to scale up the Uganda Natural Resource Information System, NARIS. We are confident that this will have a significant impact on natural resource governance in Uganda for years to come, and will serve as a catalyst for partners across all sectors to protect Uganda's natural resources and biodiversity. Once again, I'd like to thank you for your attention. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you, development partners, for all the support to this initiative. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Her Excellency Elsie Atafwa. I don't know if you are like me and you notice the passion with which she speaks to issues of the environment and the passion with which she actually exemplifies this passion within which she speaks with the action that follows that passion. So we want to celebrate you and thank you, Elsie. For those who don't follow her on social media, she had probably the best weekend in Fort Portal while at the palace, and also while visiting the Chivale National Park and speaking to matters of tree cover. I think her experience in Chivale must have re-energized her to come with a better passion today to speak to the issues of natural resource in this country. So let me now invite the Executive Director, National Forest Authority, Mr. Tom Okello, to come and make his remarks. You're most welcome. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, the Director of Programs, the Honorable Minister of State for Environment, Honorable Beatrice Anywar, Your Excellency, the UNDP Resident Representative, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of Sweden, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the Kingdom of Norway, all the invited guests in your various capacities, the staff of UNDP and NFA here present, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I take this opportunity to welcome all of you to this function and to thank you for sparing time from your busy schedules to be with us this morning as we launch and receive the National the Natural Resource Information System. NFA has over the years built internal capacity to carry out assessment and mapping of land use and land cover and providing statistics for planning and decision making. This has been made possible with support from a number of partners, including Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations that built the staff capacity through training and by provision of modern GIS equipment. I want to thank also the Norwegian Agency for Development, NORAD, that introduced, I think, the first GIS in NFA. That time it was Forest Department, and also built capacity of Forest Department on biomass mapping and resource assessment. I want to thank the United States Agency for International Development through the Tetra Tech project, which ended sometimes back, for also giving us equipment for this cause. I want to thank the World Bank under the Red Plus project, which built increase on our institutional capacity by provision of GPSs for monitoring purposes. United Nations High Commission for Refugees, especially for monitoring within the refugee host districts and then the communities. I want to thank the Wildlife Conservation Society that came on board recently and introduced the smart technology, that is the spatial monitoring and resourcing and reporting technology. WWF has been with us in the Albertine Rift, and you know Albertine Rift is our biodiversity hotspot in this country. I want to thank all these institutions for the support rendered to NFA, and also say that our doors are still open for more support, so feel free to come. Today we are here yet again to launch another high-tech system. We are also here to listen to the experts brainstorming on how to transform natural resource management in Uganda by use of real-time data. I think this is a better discussion rather than apportioning blames all the time. The forest is finished, you are doing nothing. Such discussion, pitting high-level technical people, I think is the way to go. And I really want to encourage us to probably once in a while have national discussion on how we can improve on the sustainable management of the forest resources in this country. The journey, just like the UNDP resident rep has said, has taken us some time from around 2019. And I want to thank the UNDP resident rep for leading this journey, leading us in this journey. I remember I was invited to UNDP, and they made a presentation to me and my technical people. I was mesmerized on what this system can do. So I want to thank UNDP for leading this discussion, for leading this innovation, and also for mobilizing other development partners to join. And I can see we have our partners, the Swedish government, the Norwegian government. We thank you so much for joining in this noble cause. Challenges in forestry management are enormous and requires creative thinking and innovation. God created humans. Humans demarcated boundaries and gave Uganda about 240,000 square kilometers. This boundary is fixed. The population is increasing, the demand for resources are increasing, the demand for food is increasing, and we must meet this demand, but also not compromise the quality of the environment to continue providing for us. The country aspires to reverse the forest cover loss and increase the forest cover to the 1990 level of 24% by 2040. This requires concerted effort of all of us, but also requires the use of science and technology, the use of innovations such as what we are launching and receiving here today. On behalf of National Forest Authority, I once again thank you so much for coming and welcome you to NFA. May I therefore now take this opportunity to invite my board chairman to come and make some few remarks on behalf of National Forest Authority. Thank you so much.
Honorable Minister for State for Environment, Your Excellency UNDP representative, residence representative, Your Excellency the Ambassador of the Kingdom of Norway, Your Excellency the Ambassador of Sweden, invited guests, the NFA and UNDP staff here present, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome. On behalf of National Forest Authority, on my own behalf, I am delighted to be here today to witness the launch of the Uganda National Resource Information System, the web-based real-time data platform that will enable NFA monitor forest cover loss and track changes in the forest the forest cover of this country. Uganda population is growing at an average of 3.2. It's putting a lot of pressure on the country forest and natural resources, and influx of the refugees coming from the neighboring countries are also putting a lot of pressure on our natural resources. This has led to deforestation and forest degradation across the country. The launch of this innovation forest and natural resources monitoring system therefore provides opportunity to monitor land cover changes across the landscape to enable policymakers to make informed decisions. As a board, we promise to deepen and strengthen our strategic partnership with the local community, local and central government, our development partners, our private sectors, and to specifically to reach to our mission. Sustain management and security and integrity of all central forest resources, covering and maintaining biodiversity, supplying quality forest products and services, achieving sustainability. To the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, we are grateful for this innovation approach you have developed and funded. I want to thank you again for this wonderful project. We sincerely want also to thank the UNDP residence representative for leading this project. On behalf of the board, we shall try and support all partners who want to work with us. I therefore direct the executive director always to praise and brief the board of use of this platform on a quarterly basis. This is a directive from the board to the ED to be briefing us in quarterly. Because of that, I therefore thank you for coming, and God bless Uganda.
Can we put our hands together again for the National Forestry Authority? I must say it's first of all very unique that we are at the offices of NFA here in Bugolobi. So those of you watching us at home and thinking we are in some fancy hotel, no, we are actually at the offices of NFA. And those wondering and seeing a lot of green, again, we have protected the environment. Most of what you're seeing, unlike what's in the pots here, is actually artificial. So we could not cut any trees to be able to do the decor. We brought a resemblance of what we have in our parks. And so this is artificial, and the others which are real are here in their pots, and they will be, of course, returned to where they should actually be. All right, so allow me now invite the Deputy Head of Cooperation at the Norwegian Ambassador, Ms. Lindy, to come and make her remarks. Please come.
Honorable Minister of State for Environment, Permanent Secretary, Your Excellency UNDP Resident Representative, Your Excellency Ambassador of Sweden, heads of UN agencies and heads of civil society and academia present, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. First of all, greetings from my ambassador, who was unfortunately prevented from attending this event. And I also want to start with a special thanks to Elsie for the very fruitful and good partnership we had with UNDP. And also a kudos for having the courage to pronounce my name and do it correctly. I think it's the first time. And thank you very much for inviting us to this very important launching event of the Ugandan Natural Resource Information System and Anti-Corruption Innovation Initiative. And I must say, also as former NORAD staff, and having also worked with the Norwegian Climate and Forest Initiative and RED Plus in the past, is an honor for me to be here today. And as already mentioned, Uganda's forest cover has reduced substantially the last 30 years. And if deforestation continues at present rate, all forest can be lost quite soon, as we have already heard. And this is indeed alarming. We have seen many examples around the world how deforestation exacerbates climate change, soil degradation, it reduces biodiversity, and also increases mudslides and floods. And we already heard about the importance and the relevance of all the SDGs mentioned by Elsie, but I wanted to underline the importance of the Sustainable Development Goal 15, life on land. Because as a global community, we have all committed to protect and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainable manage forest, and also combat desertification and halt and reverse land degradation and also halt biodiversity loss. And to succeed in this, we must indeed work together in partnership. And I'm happy to hear that NFA is working closely with civil society actors, academia, and the UN, as well as other partners. Using of real-time data in natural resource governance is key to monitor natural resources, including the forest, and thus also an important tool to combat deforestation. And we are happy that after a careful selection of 24 applications, Uganda was one of the 7 countries selected for support to digital GovTech pilot project. Congratulations. The UNDP Anti-Corruption for Peaceful and Inclusive Societies global project will, through the program Digital Governance for Transparency, Accountability and Anti-Corruption to Build Forward Better, enhance transparency, accountability and integrity in environmental resource management, and thereby reducing corruption and scaling up the impact of the Ugandan Natural Resource Information System. We wish you luck with this important program, and as Norway, we look forward to continue working together with Uganda to ensure sustainable natural resource management and combat deforestation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lindy. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Lindy and the Norwegian Embassy, but also the Norwegian Agency for Development that is partnering with us on this project. So we want to thank you so much. May I now turn our attentions to the screen, and we are now going to run a very short video on Natural Resource Information System. And this was put together by the Accelerator Lab at UNDP. So we'll now turn to the screens for a very short video to understand what we're actually talking about this morning.
Sunday Edward is a maize farmer in Mayuge district, just a few kilometers from West Bugwe Forest. He has so far missed 2 planting seasons due to unpredictable weather patterns in the region.
Ekizibu enguke babunu ziti mbona kutulenga okwikyano nyahano kulima enguke okutula ekyuli paka saa 12 uli muno okubwefula kyoholo mu basokosi kuberereho kulukunyasa mbumasindya sirina mmere yakulya kulenguke.
Unpredictable weather is partly attributed to limited forest cover in the region due to deforestation. West Bugwe Forest is one of the examples where most trees are cut for logging and charcoal burning. It being close to the border of Uganda and Kenya, most charcoal is smuggled into Kenya, since charcoal burning in Kenya has been prohibited.
They used to cut the charcoal and they smuggle it into Kenya, of which now it has been minimized completely.
Bazadde bange twakulanga muno mwe bajja eddagala eritujjanjaba twajjangamu ebibala ng'amatungulu nga biwooma okukamala nga bajja ne bayigga bajjangamu ensolo z'omu kibira nga tulya ku nnyama naye kati tebikyasangika mu kibira kino olw'ensonga nti bakitemye nnyo.
Ekintemye ekibira kubeezaawo famire yange n'abantu bange nakupangisa nnyumba naye ab'amateeka ag'okwatagana n'ekibira batukwata nnyo. Naye era nsala amagezi nga nze nensobola okukola ki okwebeezaawo ne famire yange kubanga siyinza siiba njala ng'ate ekibira weekiri.
The National Forestry Authority, together with partners, have devised many interventions to help preserve Uganda's forests, but deforestation remains persistent. The United Nations Development Programme Accelerator Lab took on the challenge of deforestation to clearly understand why it is being persistent. Despite various interventions from various engagements with stakeholders, it was discovered that the issue of deforestation should be handled in a systematic way, curating interventions with a profile approach as opposed to a one-project intervention.
Deforestation is a huge and very complex development challenge in this country. We've done an energy audit which has given us indications that we can actually deliver electricity at affordable prices to the social institutions in the health sector, in the education sector, in the urban setting, and offset and see a big shift away from the use of biomass. We hope to generate evidence that will inform the design or structuring of preferential tariffs for our electricity.
According to the Ministry of Water and Environment, Uganda's forest cover has reduced from 24% in 1990 to just 9% in 2020. And if deforestation continues at the present rate, forecasts indicate that Uganda risks losing its forests by the year 2060. Deforestation has the potential to exacerbate climate change, soil degradation, mudslides and floods, as well as reducing Uganda's biodiversity and reversing progress on Uganda's sustainable development outcomes. Developed in partnership between the United Nations Development Programme and the National Forestry Authority, the Uganda National Resource Information System has been earmarked to monitor forest cover and track the impact of initiatives relating to deforestation in Uganda. Having recognized the gap in recent data to track the state of the forest in Uganda, have developed the Uganda Natural Resource Information System as a collaborative and real-time data mapping tool with the capacity to track field changes, map trends in forest cover loss and growth, provide a data source for partner initiatives, while also offering potential to monitor population density, urban development, and other variables in the future. This initiative is working to protect Uganda's forests and biodiversity and improve sustainable development outcomes for the people and planet.
With time also it will be accessed by other stakeholders who will be able to report relevant information in forest monitoring, most especially when it comes to cases of forest encroachment. That means reporting of illegalities.
The Uganda National Resource Information System is accessible to government, the private sector and other stakeholders as a tool to forecast future trends in the forest cover, generate support for prevention and mitigation of deforestation, trigger real-time response, and ultimately influence decision-making and meaningful action relating to deforestation in Uganda. Uganda's forests are home to more than 80% of the country's wild fauna and flora, while also supplying almost 90% of Uganda's energy needs, generating 60% of the country's tourism income, and providing employment for over 1 million people. Forests also provide vital ecosystem services and resources that are essential for human development, and Uganda's social, economic, and environmental well-being is tightly bound to the many benefits that healthy forests provide, and therefore they need to be utilized sustainably.
All right, so that is the conversation we are having today as we launch this real-time data platform that will enable us manage our resource and be able to actually see what's really happening in our forest. So because this is a live telecast launch, allow me create a very small TV break. While we're doing that, because we're managing our time, I have requested the team to help us have the minister plant her tree, both the Honorable State Minister for Environment, the UNDP country representative, our friends from NORAD, and also the NFA Chair and ED. We're all going to plant trees. So if you could make your way now, I'm hoping the team can now guide them to where this is going to happen as we take this very short break, and we will be back with our panel discussion, but also the signing ceremony of the launch itself and the remarks by the Honorable Minister, plus much more. So please do stay with us. The conversation continues using all the hashtags we have, NARIS, and all the others I will be mentioning later. So that introduces us to the break, but we'll be back as soon as the minister is done with the tree planting. Thank you very much. And as the minister plants her tree, as some of you will witness, please pick a cup of coffee and tea and return to the room, because when we return immediately, there will be a panel discussion, and I'm already going to have my panelists take to the floor. And as soon as the minister and our country rep and partners are seated, we will be able to start our panel discussion. So mine is to request probably the panelists to pick their coffee. If you could run and pick your cup of coffee and return, and let's have our seat. Adi, let's see how to quickly manage this engagement. So we will have, of course, our panelists from WWF, WCS, NFA, and NEMA, who will immediately join us in 10 minutes on the floor with our panel. So I quickly would like to request that we manage our time very quickly. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the UNDP Accelerator Lab, Uganda.
The labs are not physical things. They're a way of thinking, they're a way of working, they're a way of engaging. By working together, we have actually shown that we can change the lives of literally billions of people. You may have knowledge, you may have expertise, you may have enthusiasm, you may have networks. All of this is hopefully something that we with this lab network can help to connect. And we're also looking for 2 or 3 more major investors who are alongside with ourselves, because UNDP has also put its own money on the table here to take this risk of doing something that is, in a sense, 1,000,000 times visible in what we have heard this evening from the people who actually make development happen, and that if we want to be relevant, we have to be part of that ecosystem.
Trying to promote these indigenous. So as we plant this, it's a message still to our colleagues out there to promote. It has no timber value, but it has those medicinal properties that we really need, yeah. I will still do this. So it is those honorable.
Let me try the trick of the honorable minister. Just a few words. Just a few words, honorable minister. I think this planting is coming just when you have come back from Glasgow. And it's very significant because Glasgow was very important for many reasons, that we need to bring the temperatures down. The impact, particularly on developing countries such as our beautiful Pearl of Africa, is very high. We are not emitting so much, but yet the impact is great on us. And so I think this is very symbolic that we, as I plant this
that is now actually going on until 2023. If you've been tracking this conversation over the last 4 years, it should have ended in 2021, but we all know what happened in 2020. And this program, the Anti-Corruption for Peaceful and Inclusive Societies, ACPIS, is UNDP's global anti-corruption program. It is in over 60 countries in all the 5 regions. So I will definitely speak to a couple of things as I allow the people to come in. But as soon as we are settled in about a minute, I'll be inviting someone to speak to the platform, the UNDP's Global Program Advisor on Anti-Corruption, who's joining us via Zoom and is on standby. And so in a minute, and I'm hoping our handlers and those handling our Zoom platform will be able to provide the access to him at that time. And please, let's ensure we have him on the platform as soon as you can, all right? But that's in a minute as we have our people return. But I want to welcome you and the TV stations that are wrapping up the break to this conversation on the launch of the Natural Resource Information System. Our partners, CEDA and NORAD, working with NFA and UNDP in driving this real-time platform that should be able to help us I'm just getting a small brief on our Zoom, and we should be good to go shortly. So, to you, our invited guests, the conversation you've been hearing the entire morning on Uganda's forest cover that has reduced by 24%, or from 24% in 1990 to 12.4% in 2017. And you notice the data we are using is 2017 data. And this platform we're launching today should be able to give us an up-to-date real-time information on where we stand as a country at this time. As spoken to, the UNDP country representative and the NFA executive director spoke to how NARIS is a collaborative real-time and data visualization platform that is being implemented to monitor forest cover loss, track field changes, track the impact of initiatives, provide a data source for future initiatives, while also offering the potential to monitor population density, human and wildlife migration patterns, urban development, and other variables beyond deforestation in the future. This particular launch, as both Elsie and Tom spoke to, comes on the heels of the COP26. So the timelines are quite exciting because the conversation that was happening in Glasgow speaks to what we are launching today. So we're good? Okay. So I want to now turn to the conversation on the anti-corruption for peaceful and inclusive societies. The global program, which is a UNDP global anti-corruption program that has been running from 2017 to 2023. As I mentioned, it's in over 60 countries in all the 5 regions, which has provided policy and program support on anti-corruption. So allow me, ladies and gentlemen, invite the UNDP's Global Program Advisor on Anti-Corruption is joining us via Zoom to address this August gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for the introduction and greetings from Singapore. Honorable ministers, excellencies, distinguished guests and speakers, UNDP colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of UNDP's Global Anti-Corruption team, it's my great pleasure to participate in the launch of this project focused on enhancing integrity and transparency in environmental resource management in Uganda. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our donor partners, CEDA and NORAD, for their generous financial support, and our Uganda country office and our partners in Uganda for developing these very innovative projects. In April this year, UNDP's Global Anti-Corruption Program rolled out a new initiative named UNDP Anti-Corruption Innovation Initiative. The Acceleration Lab was already mentioned by our resident representative. It's similar to that, but focusing more from the anti-corruption angle. Uganda's proposal was among 24 project proposals submitted by UNDP country offices in Africa and the Asia Pacific regions. The selection committee, composed of our donor partners, program partners, our UNDP regional hubs, independent experts, and UNDP's global team identified 7 proposals for funding this year, and Uganda was one of them. And it was a very competitive selection process, and we congratulate Uganda for being selected to this project.
Recording in progress.
Emphasize the need for achieving bold, wide-ranging climate action, including strategies to reduce emissions, mobilizing resources for climate finance and adaptation to protect our planet, aid corruption from undue influence to embezzlement of funds, continues to undermine global efforts to address climate change. Every year, corruption costs some $29 billion in the forestry sector alone, and an estimated 7 to 15% of the multilateral climate funds allocated to the water sector. In addition, corruption in timber sector, fisheries, wildlife, and extractive industries continues to exacerbate environmental degradation and harm our planet. The COVID-19 pandemic revealed the unresolved tensions between people and our planet. The question is, how do we advance sustainable development while easing or erasing planetary pressures and averting extinctions? Strengthening governance and anti-corruption efforts is critical. With this respect, with the cost of corruption estimated at $2.6 trillion each year globally, action against corruption can prevent the leakages of resources that could otherwise be used for some $140 to $500 billion investment needed for climate adaptation in developing countries. Without tackling corruption in climate, environment, and biodiversity initiatives, it is not to achieve the ambitious yet corruption often tend to be left out of climate change commitment and conversations. We know that. Based on UNDP's flagship report on tackling corruption risk in climate, let me share 3 key areas that are critical in our efforts towards transparency, accountability, and integrity to ensure effective action against the climate crisis. First, collaboration